All right, so a couple of you guys have asked about how to loop your deck with this, especially on Magic Online. So I ran into a situation against Elves um, earlier today where they had a little bit of pressure on the board, and I didn't have enough to draw more than 7 off of Gristlebrand. So I ended up in a situation where I had to loop my deck in order to win. So we'll run through this really quickly. It's kind of a slow hand. We get into, I think this is what we keep. Not a lot of action, but I don't really want to go to 5 against the Elves because they're slow. I'm going to hit play for a little bit until we actually combo, and I'll show you what's going on. So they don't have a super fast hand either, which helps us a lot. This next turn, I actually think I daze their play just to stall a little bit because we have the fast mana here that we can look for what we need to go off. And I basically just don't want them to go ballistic here. And I thought about brainstorming, decided I wanted to see one more card first. We brainstorm, that's solid. So what we can do now is we can vault on our upkeep, assuming we don't die, which we didn't, but if you look at our life total now, we're down to 15. So that's 2 Gristlebrand draws. I'm gonna pause here in a second. So we get down to 2 Gristlebrand draws, and then we vault here. And we have to pay life to get below 14. So now we're on 1 Gristlebrand draw. So we found the Entomb. So we do our thing. But what became very clear to me so we could have tried to go off here on just 7 more cards, but if we whiff, it ends up kind of ugly. So my inclination here is actually to swing, draw 7 more, and then gain 14 off of children. So like there is a chance that we could have hit there, but I would much rather have a higher percentage chance to hit here. So what we can do, click through this, we're gonna draw 7 more, and now we've got all sorts of action. So and also children gains 14 now. So what we're doing as we loop our deck basically is casting all of our rituals, shallow graving back the children to get our mana back or our life back, watching out for what we're doing with our life total and our deck size. And the key here is the easiest way to get this going is LED, get children on board. I'm going to pause here for a second. So you get children on board, dump your graveyard or dump your hand into your graveyard with Emrakul using the LED. Your deck size goes back up to 56. You can draw back down to your life total. So we start just casting rituals. So we're basically just each cycle through, we're generating a buttload of mana. And then we draw 7. We do it again. We got LED here, so now we just got to find Emrakul in the hand to keep looping. And eventually, if you start having trouble, you can start making blue with these petals to like cantrip into the last few cards in your deck if you're not an exact multiple of 7, which is not a big deal. So now we've lost all sorts of life. We have all sorts of stuff going on. Keep casting our rituals, our petals, and we gain 65 life. So the idea here, and somebody asked about the collective brutality loop, we can do the same thing each cycle through. Instead of casting rituals, we can cast collective brutalities. So if we have like an ensnaring bridge or something out, we do have a win con through that. It's a little bit slower because it's held to play. But we're just looping through, watching our deck size and our life total. And we just repeat this process a bunch. So I drew to exactly 0 in deck because I wasn't in a multiple of 7. So if you look here, I've got everything in hand, but if I were to cast the Emrakul, we would obviously deck ourselves. So we got to do one more loop. We bring out the children first, dump our hand. And what I'll show here is we cast the Emrakul, but I end the turn by entombing for a Cabal Therapy. I wish I could go back, but I entombed for Cabal Therapy before casting this, so I could sack him, get him in my graveyard, and strip anything possibly relevant from their hand. Game 1, so it's only natural order, and they're dead anyways. But now we cast Emrakul. All these exile triggers go on the stack. We get another turn. We swing for 15, and they're dead. Pretty simple. It's a little bit arduous, but if you look at our clock, we're actually we're only down on our opponent by 20 seconds. So it's not that slow of a combo, and it gives you a lot of flexibility. So depending on what we need to deal with, we need to deal with a bridge or whatever we can. If we just need to like dump our critters and go for a combo to the next turn because there's something getting in our way, we can do that. But that's the general loop.